What kind of party was this? Was this just like a come look at ghosts party?
It turned out to be that way.
Whoa, what? Hey everybody, your buddy Basil here, and welcome to the Joyspiracy Theory. You made it. So happy you did. We got a great episode this week. First of all, just wanted to let you guys know, patreon.com/the Joyspiracy Theory. Go there, do it. It's a great way to support the show. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/the Joyspiracy Theory. Also, if you could leave some ratings and reviews, I'm telling you guys, it helps out so much. Thank you for everybody who have done that. And if you're sitting there and you have not left a rating and a review yet, you know, I think it's time. I think it's time to do your buddy Basil just a wonderful favor. Anyways, thank you very much for doing that. I'm going to keep this real short here, mostly because I am going out of town here, so I'm trying to schedule a couple of shows to come out while I am gone. So hopefully I get to do that. You guys get a couple episodes while I'm out. But that being said, I have no updates, so that makes for a short intro, so that's great. But this week we've got Gary. Now, Gary's been a long-time listener. He's an awesome dude, and we got to sit down and talk about all sorts of crazy stuff like ghost parties and the Jersey Devil and getting over yourself, which is a fun part of the conversation. And really, there's a lot of joy attached to that. So I think you guys are going to get a lot out of that. I think that's about it. I think we're just going to jump right into it. Okay, here we go. Whee! Gary!
Hey, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
Hey, doing great. Thank you very much, man.
Good. What are you grateful for today, buddy?
Hey, I'm really grateful for my wife's health, man. She went through a serious surgery. They like part of an injury that happened 23 years ago. And we thought everything was great. So she went in and they actually had to replace most of her aorta.
Whoa, holy smokes. Aorta, that's a pretty important part, isn't it?
It is. It's really hard to get along without it.
Wow. That's heart surgery, isn't it?
It is.
Whoa.
It is.
That's gnarly, bro. Well, good. We're very grateful for her health as well. Gare Bear, do you mind if I call you Gare Bear?
No, man, that's fine.
Okay.
I have to get that printed shirt.
Yeah, that's your peerage, is Gare Bear.
All right.
The Lord of something. Well, that's awesome. Well, glad to have you on the show. Let's see. This wasn't too hard getting set up, was it?
No, not at all.
All right. Well, sounds good. Where in the world are you?
I am in good old New Jersey.
New Jersey.
And, right over on the East Coast, man.
I've been to Jersey.
Have you?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name. It started with an R. Rylston?
Oh, there's Rutgers. That's the college. Rylston. I'm not sure, man. I'm in Jersey, pretty far down here.
No, okay. Yeah, I honestly, I wish I could remember the name of the town, but I spent about 2 weeks in Jersey, and I was close enough I could take a train to the city, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, right. That's my daughter went to college up around Montclair. It's probably pretty close to where you were.
Cool.
All the up across, and
so
I'm.
Quick question for you: do you have me on speakerphone, or do you have me next to your head?
Next to my head.
Oh, there you go. Whatever you just did made it better.
That's better.
Do you have facial hair?
I try not to, but I'll keep the phone right where it is right now.
Okay, that's good. I can just hear a little bit of scratching, like maybe if you move the phone around on your head. But if you just keep that in mind, I think we'll be good.
Perfect, man. I'll keep it right here.
Yeah, it's all good. It's just all part of the fun of talking to people who aren't professional podcasters.
Yeah, exactly. I'm nowhere near that.
No, I barely am. I only am by default.
I hear you. Yeah, I'm planning on getting on the really cool geek stuff and microphones and all, but just haven't done it yet, you
Yeah,
know?
it's a good time. It's a good time. It passes the time at least.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, good, 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 good. So, have you've? I'm assuming you've listened to this show before. In fact, I think at the end of last episode, I played a little bit of the message you left me.
Did I? Did you really?
I did just a little bit. Don't worry, I took out all the personal information, but I just want people to know how much fun it is to leave me voicemails.
That's right. That's right. I queue them up all the time, and things have been kind of crazy, so I'm about a week behind.
Hey, it's okay. Trust me, it is okay. It's nice to get those downloads later on in the week. Keep the numbers steady.
Exactly. Exactly. Spread it out. That's my goal. Always be the steady end of
Yeah,
the into the into the train guy.
there you go. It's good. If I ever get advertisers, I'll tell them, don't worry, Gary will listen like a week later.
That's right, and they will eat that up.
They will. We've been looking for that to reach that Gary market.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, good, man. So let me see. You're in Jersey. You're in Jersey. Do you go to New York City often? Let me tell you, in California, we sort of just assume that everybody in Jersey lives in Jersey, so they're just not have to be in the city, but can take a little train.
Right. The New York suburb, man, extends all the way to Philadelphia. Yeah,
it,
I'm actually right around the Pine Barrens where the Jersey Devil lore, comes.
Ooh. Have
Yeah,
you
I
ever
was
gone Jersey Devil hunting?
well, I think it might have come hunting for me before. We heard some, you can hear some strange sounds and you're never sure what they are, but there
Yeah.
was something hitting the windows out here about a year ago.
So the Jersey Devil, now correct me if I'm wrong, that's supposed to be some sort of like spooky dog thing, right?
Well, yes, kind of. It's some spooky winged uh cloven hoof dog looking thing that was
That's right.
supposed yeah, like the 13th child of this person that was born out in the woods. It's freaky, it really
Oh,
is.
yikes. Is that like serious, like urban legend slash Jersey legend? Like, do people actually believe in it?
You know what? It seems that some people do. Like it always pops up on the there's this really cool magazine. I think it happened because of it. It's like weird things in New Jersey.
Right.
Yeah, it always pops up around there,
All right.
But
Yeah.
there are strange things. We even have rattlesnakes in New Jersey.
That is weird.
That is weird.
That
I
is
don't want
weird. Another thing that's weird is you're allowed to drink on the train to and from New York.
to. No, seriously?
I don't know. Somebody told me that, and I saw this guy drinking. I'm like, you allowed to do that? They're like, oh yeah, you can just do whatever you want, basically.
Yeah, we do whatever we want around here, man. It's pretty.
Don't mess with Jersey. We drink on trains.
That's right. That's right. They're great tomatoes too.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I was in New York, New York City. We called a couple of shows on Broadway and just like walked around. It was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, New York City is a trip, man. Especially if you're not used to the whole city thing.
Yeah, and I don't like driving in it, so catching the train's the only way to do it.
A good time. It's a good time. Well, that's cool. So you got a wife, and she's got her health now. Is doing better at least. And what you got? Any kids?
Yeah, yeah. I've got a daughter. She's actually 20, almost 23 now, man. She decided to. She's a city girl. She wanted to be as close to New York as she could, so
Right.
she went to college up in North Jersey, and yeah, we were like, it was pretty cool, man. From her dorm room, you could actually see the skyline, like right across the little river there.
Hey,
So
there you go. That's pretty cool. So now, did you always live in Jersey? Did you grow up there? Where are you from originally?
originally from the eastern shore of Maryland, down in the swamplands, man. I grew up on the water. My brother-in-law is like the head of the Maryland Watermen Association. It's pretty cool, and I grew up always like every weekend I'd just go down and throw a line in the water and fish, and we'd go crabbing. And have you ever been on? And that's a really cool thing to do. On a work boat. They put this long line, and usually I was the guy that had to tie the bait on, and that's a nasty proposition, man.
Hey,
It's
I
like,
I saw Crab Wars or whatever whatever that TV show was. I forget what it was called.
right,
The one where they do the crab fishing. What is it called?
right. Um, well,
Crab
that
Wars. We're just calling it Crab Wars.
Wars works, man.
Oh,
Does
Deadliest Catch.
deadliest catch? Yeah,
There you go.
that's over like
That's in
more,
Alaska.
yeah. That's a little bit colder water. It's like
But
with
same
this
thing, right? Same deal. You're
kind of
tossing
kind of
those cages. Got to
yep.
come back and pick up the cages.
That's right. Or doing the trot line. It's like
Okay.
a long line that goes from buoy to buoy, and
Right.
I was the kid that tied the bait on there, man. That was no fun. That was
Of
so
course they would make a kid do that. That's like an old Victorian industrial age. Just get the children to do the dangerous stuff.
exactly. It's like they're expendable. We'll just have another one, you know.
Well,
So,
that's awesome. So you grew up in Maryland. Wow, I don't think I've ever been to Maryland. I think I'm pretty comfortable with the amount of places in the U.S. I've been, but never been to Maryland. What's
oh, and
Maryland even known for?
well, the Eastern Shore is known for. There's a wildlife preserve, and basically, Cambridge, Maryland is where I'm from, and it's basically a stopping point where politicians in D.C. head to Ocean City, Maryland, and accidentally stop in Cambridge. That's about a sleepy little quiet place, man. It's like the one of the main roads going through town. They actually use brick from people's chimneys,
Whoa,
and the main road was actually brick.
that's pretty
And
cool. That's like
yeah,
some old, like New England type stuff,
exactly,
colonial style.
exactly. And it was pretty neat, man. Growing up there, we didn't even know. It's like everybody had these stickers like there is no life west of the Chesapeake Bay. So we're like, a secluded little place, and it's like after when I left there at 17 and went in the Navy. I was an intelligence specialist on a couple of aircraft carriers, and
Ooh.
old man, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Okay, so before we get too far into that, I'm actually very fascinated to hear about that. Yeah, tell me a little bit about growing up over there in Maryland. Was it what was going on with your parents, and did you grow up in the church, or were you? I don't even have enough touchstones for Maryland. I can't even think of
Right.
jokes about it.
Well, I'm sure there are some, but yeah, man, it's like my father. He was a World War II vet. He came back, and a lot of guys that make it through like jungle fighting and everything. They come back with malaria, and he died when I was 2.5. No,
Of
I
of
wasn't even that.
malaria?
Yeah, I was 18 months old. And here's the deal: people that have malaria will do almost anything to avoid feeling the sickness from it and the night sweats and everything. So he drank a little bit too much, from what I understand.
Was this before they had vaccines for malaria,
I I
or
guess
or a
I,
cure?
I guess
That's
I don't know.
crazy.
I don't know. Yeah. So it's like it was just my basically my mother, and she raised 4 kids. The first two were with my father up until they were like 17, 18 years old, and then there was a 17-year gap, and and I've got a sister that's 2.5 years younger than me. So I think we were the presents. You know what I mean? So it's
So
like,
it's
uh huh,
17 years
yep,
younger than your
yeah,
next sibling.
exactly,
Wow, that's quite the spread, buddy.
yeah, yeah,
So who was oh my gosh, so your dad
uh huh,
had two kids, they were years old, then had another little random little Gary Bear,
right, right.
And then malaria. Holy shnikes.
Yeah,
All
I think
right.
he had for like since the war ended in like 45. You know what I mean?
Wait, what war was he in?
World War Two.
He caught malaria in World War II. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was in the islands like Guam and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, there was some heavy
What did
heavy stuff.
what did he do? Was he just an infantryman?
Yeah, he was a staff sergeant in the army, and he had a couple of bullet holes through his legs.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, so I grew up with a heroic story, that he carried somebody off to freedom, kind of like Hacksaw Ridge, I guess. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
sure, yeah.
So and so basically, I grew up kind of fast on my own, and it's like there really wasn't a whole lot of church background. Um, there was this really cool. The thing is, church, to me, basically at that time, like growing up, was this really really cool building, with the great rock gargoyle. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like I went to a few and just I basically, I was this little kid, man. I'd ride my bike around and I'd just show up wherever I was. That was a pretty wonderful little sleepy place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but it's like church on the Eastern Shore of Maryland can get scary, man. It's like there was this yeah, yeah, there's this little booklet, man, that I found one day, and it's like really, really hardcore, like the dangers of dating, and it, it it scared me, man. It scared me bad. So it's
The
like,
dangers of dating. That is some real
yeah,
East Coast church status
yeah,
right there.
yeah, it was, yeah, yeah. So I didn't know what to think about it. My mother had this really cool Bible, and it's like it was huge, and like kind of pick it up, and there were I don't even know who made it. It was like I think the traveling encyclopedia guy sold it to her one time, and it's like if it never got used, it would just sit there. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I didn't, and from my father's side, a little bit of my mom's too, but our family lineage, there's a lot of Native American, so I'm like 13 to 16% Native American.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So I really, I felt some kind of closeness with everything, from that. It's really hard to, to relate or comprehend. But yeah, I didn't really know that much about, the
So
whole church.
what do you mean closeness? You felt a little bit closeness with the Native American culture or
Well, basically, like animals in the land,
right.
there there there's just something. It's like it seems like it goes past genetics. There's some spiritual quality. Like I can tell you some things. Like it would, there were witnesses to this. Like um, about well, a few years ago, a couple years ago, 3 or 4. I walked outside and there was this hawk like sitting on our bird feeder. So I went out there to take a picture of it. And you know how when you're using a digital camera, if you hold how you hold your arm up when you're gonna take a vertical picture,
Right, right.
the guy flew over and landed on my arm, and
What?
yeah, my wife was watching this out of the window, and it freaked me out. I didn't know if the thing was attacking me or what was going on.
Just a
So
wild hawk came and
yeah,
landed on your arm as if it was like your
right,
your pet.
right, right,
Wow.
exactly. And I talked to my neighbor about it. He works for the agriculture area around here, and it seems that there's somebody fairly close that breeds them.
Uh-huh.
But there was like no band on its leg or anything, So I
Right.
didn't know. So these guys, he raises them, and then occasionally one will like go rogue and take off and like land on people's arms. I guess I don't.
Just kind of trying to hang out with people.
Right,
That's
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah,
Dang, that's
this,
pretty cool. Did you keep him and
yeah.
use him for hunting?
Well, I took some pictures of him, and I use them in that there's like a picture in like one of my books of its face.
Right. Wow,
Like,
that's pretty cool, man. I'm into that. I kind of want that to happen to me now. Although it'd probably be like a pigeon or something if it happened to me.
well, if it has claws, always remember to wear a long sleeve
I was gonna say
because
that sounds painful.
right, and it freaked me out, you know. So, but the thing is, with the whole Native American thing, there's just some kind of closeness. It's like when I came back in the house, my wife was surprised, but she wasn't completely freaked out.
Right.
It, things kind of happen like that, you know.
She's like, of course you would find
Of
a
course.
hawk friend.
Right, exactly. It's like, so what's for lunch? It's like, did you see that? It's like, yeah, that was crazy. You okay? Yeah. All right. It's like,
Lunchtime.
it's like,
So that's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think definitely, especially the types of weirdos who listen to this show, I think, you know, some sort of, whether it is DNA or some sort of spiritual DNA or remnant as far as that goes, I don't think that's too far off track from something we could consider.
right, exactly. And like listening to some of the interviews that you've done on this program, I picture you like sitting in the chair and the people that you've been talking to like sprawled out on the couch and you're taking like, therapy, man. It's like it's pretty cool.
Now tell me, how did that make you feel?
Right. Well, the hawk on my arm made me a little apprehensive at first, but it got
Well, that's pretty cool. You haven't like tamed a bear or anything, have you?
no. But I
Okay.
do have a bear story.
Oh, tell me the bear story.
Okay, when I was in the Navy, we pulled in on an aircraft carrier. You get fairly close, but then you have to hop on this little Liberty launch, and it takes you up, up to the pier, to the wharf. And when we were in Turkey, um, there was this guy walking a bear on a chain right where we were pulling up
Oh,
with the
of
boat.
course.
So it's like, yeah, of course. So it's like, Turkey is a wild place, man. But that's the guy, and he was just walking around with it. And years later, there's this little town in Pennsylvania. It's called New Hope. It's like it's like a really artsy little place.
Sure.
And I saw there was a guy selling. He had a store selling rugs, but that was a long story from Turkey, man. I actually got invited to the house of a couple of people that were selling rugs because I was walking around in the rain. It was pretty funny. But I was talking to the guy, here in New Hope, and he's told him it's like, yeah, I was in Turkey, and I told him about the bear, and he almost lost it. He was like, you're so lucky. It's like that guy only had that bear walking around for like 2 years, maybe 3 years tops, and the government shut him down because it was freaking people out.
Oh,
So
so he was like a known guy?
yeah, he
Wow.
was a guy. Well, anybody that's gonna walk a bear on a chain is gonna be pretty known by the local populace,
Yeah, crazy bear guy.
Right. And he was only allowed to do that for like 2 or 3 years, and I happened to see that, so that was my image of Turkey, crazy bear guy. But it was like completely out of left field.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, that sounds. I could see how any municipality, even over there, might have a little bit of a problem with a bear in public being walked around on a chain.
Exactly. But it was a thing.
All right. Okay, so you are growing up. You didn't really go to church as a kid, and take it from there.
All right. So, I went to, I basically, talked my mother into going to, a church if she'd worked a lot, being a single parent. And I remember going to a couple of the churches that were close and not really remembering anything because it's like they were scary. It was all the hell and brimstone. And if you do wrong, you're going to die, like as soon as you walk through these doors.
Do you remember
So
what kind of churches they were? Like,
Methodist and Southern Baptist type things, but mostly Methodist in that area.
oh, interesting.
But they were hardcore Methodists,
Right.
you
Yeah, I was
know?
gonna
And,
say usually Methodists are pretty friendly.
right. But I think that the Southern Baptist influence is like really strong there.
Right.
And so I didn't know what to think about it really. And it's like, so, after I left there, floating around the ships and everything, I got into reading more. Well, actually, okay, before I left to go in the Navy, a girlfriend that had just graduated from college, she gave me this book, and she was like, you know what, you should really read this. And it was Ayn Rand, and it was
Oh.
so it's like, wow, okay. And so I didn't, I was completely taken aback by her amazing ability to turn a single sentence into a work of art. And it's like almost every paragraph is filled with these works of art. So that's what I took from it. And she would always say that she was, in interviews, because I tried to catch as many as I could as far as like written interviews, that she was like a complete individualist and uh, uh, an atheist. And it's like, that doesn't come across.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think, I think she was like saying that she was one thing when her writing carried forth images of something else,
Sure.
So, like, you know, I, um, you know, took that, and it's like when you're on an aircraft carrier, you're like 12 hours on, 12 hours off, and there's a lot of downtime. So it's like, doing a lot of reading like that. And then I really didn't get too much into, I always felt this spiritual relationship, and I never knew what it was. So, but it's like, I didn't really get too much into the whole complete religion thing until I met my wife, and that changed everything.
As it usually does when you meet your wife.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I knew it immediately. I was a photographer at the time, and I don't know if they had these places out, where you are. It was this national chain called Olin Mills, but
No, I don't. I've never heard of it. What is it?
yeah, it's like a national chain of photographic studios.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're not so big now, but we were in like this area. I'd gone back to Maryland for a while, and I was in Salisbury, and I just happened to get this job, as a photographer there. And when I saw, then that's a story in itself too. But when I saw my wife, there was no way that this was even possible that it could happen this way. But it's like she came walking up, and it was like this beam of light came through the ceiling and hit her, and it was like just glowing. And I knew immediately, and she thought I was crazy. But it's like I knew immediately that I had to find out more about this person, and I felt that things were going to progress. And she was actually, she was actually engaged to somebody else at the time.
Oh, you dog. It's interesting. There's so many stories of men. I only speak on the men's side because they're really the only ones who have told me about stuff like this. Where when they see what would become eventually their wife, it's like they just know it right away.
Yeah,
What it
yeah.
like? Where does that come from? What the heck?
I think that I think that you know God was telling me.
Yeah.
It's like, and that was like a religious experience right there. It's like the only thing I can relate it to, because she was in this area that there was a roof over it and everything, and there's no way that sunlight could be beaming down and making her glow like I originally saw. You know, so it's like that was like, hey, dude, this is going to be important in your life.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's like it took her much longer. Her mother liked me, but it took her a lot longer to grasp the idea that we were going to settle down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you get the mom on your side. That'll go a long way for you.
Yeah, and they're all really short too, and I'm tall, so we got to play point and reach. So it's like I was like, hey, can you reach that? Can you reach that? And I was the point and reach guy. I was,
So
always
you
reach up.
were you were utilitarian as well.
Right? Exactly. So I served a purpose. So it's like, hey, keep this guy around, and it was it was bad. It's like I think that she knew that it wasn't. really going to happen with her fiance. And she actually had me break up with the guy for her over
What? How do you
yeah.
get how do you get to So I
Yeah.
mean, was there a little bit of shenanigans going on before?
No,
No?
no.
You just kind of befriended the family and then
Yeah.
I guess you must have become good friends if she's asking you to,
Yeah. Yeah.
do chores like break up with her
Right.
fiance for her.
Yep. We met in August and I proposed to her in November. So it was like 3 months,
Holy
and we
smokes.
were following June.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I had no doubts about it at all. And I think that she was completely amazed that somebody could see her and automatically have no doubts that they were supposed to be married, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that if you tell a girl that, they're going to think you're absolutely insane
Yeah.
unless the mother really likes you.
Yeah, I
And
was gonna say that's like some definite creeper status. I could see, I could see some women really not being into that, but apparently you're just so charming.
I can't help it. It's natural. So, but yeah, man, I walked into her. She was like, "Come here, I need you to do something for me." She was like, "This is my fiance on the phone. Please talk to him." So we had a guy talk, and we just talked that out. And by the by the end of the conversation, he was like, "Okay, I get it."
Wow.
It's,
I
yeah,
I'm wondering if that has ever worked in the history of humanity ever before.
I
'Cause,
didn't know. I just felt bad. You know what I mean for the guy because
seriously,
yeah, this
honey,
girl that I
it's
absolutely love
it's
with.
not me, it's you. And here's Gary to explain it to you.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. That's really pretty much how it happened. And just talking to him, it's like I'm really sorry, but this is what's going to happen. I pretty much told him,
Now,
So it's
was she? I mean, was it like obvious that she was romantically interested in you, or again, were you just playing point and reach?
no, no. Well, I think that she's from a really Catholic family, and it's like when their mother tells them that they're going to do something, they pretty much listen. You
Right,
know, at least for a while until things are proven completely out of line or
right.
completely true. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's like she knew that there was more than that there, and I think that she knew that even though this person, had given her this fantastic engagement ring, which usually is you know, that's enough to entice somebody to listen,
right.
You know? But I think she knew or she felt that that just wasn't going to happen. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
It was like, I was able to help everybody.
Hey, well, Care Bear to the rescue.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
funny. Now, real quick, I do want to jump back a little bit
Yeah.
to when you joined the Navy. Now,
Yes.
were you doing that because your dad was a military man, or what got you to join the Navy?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. I didn't want to join the army. Like I felt that like it's kind of strange when you when you have never really even talked to your father. You want to try to do something that would make him proud or make
Sure.
him if you ever see each other on the other side, you want to have some frame of reference to talk.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like I much to the chagrin of my teachers in high school. I told them it's like I did the early enlistment thing and actually signed up when I was 17. And I it's like if I can get this one job, like I would like to be an intelligence specialist. So it's like I didn't even know what it was, and I started doing homework, and it just seemed like a really cool thing.
So you just
So it's
knew kind of from the beginning that you were going to be a military man.
yeah, I kind of did. I
Huh,
kind of did as
interesting.
my yeah. So I was still taking AP classes and courses, anatomy and physiology, and science and ethics, and biology, and it's like those were the classes I was getting A's in. So the teachers could not understand why I was actually going in the military because at that point, um, my teacher at the time, Mr. Renkwitz, great guy, but it's like when they were
of age is when the draft was going on, and they were doing everything they could to avoid going in the military.
Right,
You know,
right.
so it's like counterintuitive that somebody that they think's a promising student would actually want to do that. So the thing is, I figured that the Navy was going to be safe because I'd be able to stay on a boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably. So, but then we went and bombed Libya. So that's scary. It's always something. But yeah, yeah. So one of my jobs as an intelligence specialist was to look and see what ships were around, and that was really, it was some crazy stuff that went on. Like when the whole Libyan bombing thing happened, one of the pilots, I would help with debriefing, pilots and all. And it's like he was like, "Okay, I think I just shot a Russian." It's like, what?
Oh
What are you
no.
talking about? Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, give me the film. So I took it to the lab real quick and then developed it, and I put the negatives under the. It's like actually use like a microscope to look at these negatives. And it's like, okay, you're right. That is a Nanochka, which is a Russian ship, but safely all the Russians have left. So you see that symbol right there? That's actually a Libyan symbol that's painted there. So it's like you're fine.
Oh,
So it
so Libyans like took over the ship or at least bought it from Russia.
exactly, exactly.
Interesting.
So, yeah, so it could have been an
Yeah, that
international
could have
incident.
started World War III way earlier than we are all talking about World War
Right,
III.
right. So it was good to settle his nerves a little bit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool thing.
I bet you got in a lot of shenanigans as a Navy
Oh,
boy.
I did. We the one of the neat things is when you went to a port at that point anyway. I've always not minded walking around by myself,
Right.
so I would take off, and it's like I hopped the train. We were in Italy. Hopped the train and went to Venice, and was just walking around Venice and then St. Mark's Square and everything, man. All the masks and everything, and seeing the celebrations. And I was like 18, 19, up to
Wow.
20. Uh,
That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool experience, I bet.
yeah, it was an amazing experience. And one of the times I talked one of my fellow intelligence specialist buddies into going with me, and it's like his name was Scolamacchia. So I figured, okay, this guy's going to be able to speak Italian, man. We'll be set. He
That's
didn't
good.
know Italian, not a
What a
word.
name, man.
Right, 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 right. That was Joseph Scolamacchia. So it's like we were walking around. I said, okay, we're in the square. Do me a favor. I got this camera. Um, and that camera I actually bought in Singapore from a guy's trunk. We really shouldn't talk about that. But I told Joe, it's like, okay, stand over here, and I'm gonna put some bird seed on you. Don't worry, it's gonna be fine. So it's like, and the guy was so cool. He's like, okay. So he held his hands out. I covered him with these with seeds and corn, and stood back, and these pigeons like flocked all around him. So I took all these pictures like this, and I'd forgotten about him. Well, because of the wonders of Facebook, he found me a couple of years ago, and a few months ago, he sent me a copy of the picture of him standing there in the middle of the square with these pigeons
Wow.
laughing like crazy.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man. It's kind of cool how things from, such a long time ago, almost a different world, really.
It really was. It really
Yeah.
was. There was like no concern, like walking around anywhere. And we found this really cool restaurant, and we started talking to the guy that owned it, and he was like, come here, and he actually fought, and this was Italy, right? He actually fought in World War II, and I was afraid to push the issue too far, asking him too many questions, you know. But he was like, come here, and it's like we went through the restaurant, and he had this amazing courtyard behind it with citrus trees and lemons and all, and this Doberman walking around. And he was like, it's like, don't, I'm fine, don't worry about anything. But he kept inviting us. He was like, okay, if you're in port again, come back here. So that was in Naples, which is one of the first stops, like where most of the ships actually park in Italy, anyway.
Right, right.
So whenever, like, we were there like two or three times because we were at sea a lot with our jobs. So every time we'd always stop in his restaurant, and he would like take pictures with us and everything. And
The same guy. You just keep going back.
yeah, because he was cool, man. This was his home and life, and he invited us in to participate. It was amazing. It was a really amazing experience.
Yeah, that's rad. It'd be interesting. Did you
Yeah.
ever did he leave anything to you in his will?
Not that I know of, but maybe I should find out.
Yeah.
He should. I invited a lot of people over, so I got him some business anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, I've got a
Oh,
Navy story too.
wait, say that again?
I've got another Navy story too.
Oh, give it to that was me trying to say give it to me.
All right. Well, in Turkey, I was walking around and it started raining, and it was just like this light drizzle, right? So I walked past this shop and I saw there were these steps going down and a light on down there, and you could kind of see like the edge of a rug down there. So I walked down the stairs and walked over, and this guy like looks at me and like puts his hands up. It's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm just an American walking around, and I would like to find out about buying a rug. So he was like, no, we don't do that. This is wholesale only. You ought to get out of my house. And it's like, no, man, I see him right there. Let's talk. So he started laughing, and he was like, okay, sit down. And he went over, he said, like, let's have tea. And in really good English, too. So he brought me this cup of tea, and we sat there, and he had this whole stack of rugs, and he said that the local, like, all the tribes they of people around, they were like a warehousing agency for the rug sellers, and they would ship them to the States and all over the world. So I said, okay, I would really like one of these. Can you sell me this one? And he was like, well, no. So it's like, come on, man, I really like it. So he was like, okay, 300 US. I was like, no, 185. And the guy was laughing so hard at the gall of this American walking around and coming down the stairs into his home that wasn't even open to the
You just
public.
walk into his house.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
it was funny. And he was like, he ended up laughing so much, he actually sold me the rug for $185.
No way.
So I rolled it up under my arm. It's like this big, heavy wool thing. And he was like, okay, I got another guy for you to meet too, because I think we can do business here. So it's like, all right. So he this other guy showed up, and I don't even remember how he found out that we were talking, but he showed up and he was like, okay, I'll meet you at this bar. Are you around tomorrow? It's like, yeah, I'm going to be here for like 5 days. So he's like, okay, meet me at this bar, and I'll show you, some other rugs and all. And it's by the bazaar, so we'll see what we can do. So it's like, all right. So I've never had any worries about being able to physically handle myself. So I've put myself into some really shaky situations. So I go to the guy's house, and well, I meet him at the bar first, and he's smoking these Turkish cigarettes, and it's like all this smoke, and they're popping and everything. So he's like, all right, come with me. So I follow him to his house, and he's got all these rugs like along the walls. And he proceeds to tell me, it's like, okay, this came from this area. They use this kind of dye and this weaving pattern. And he showed me all the knots on the back about how to tell when they're real. And he was like, at the bazaar, most of them aren't real, okay, but some of them are. Um, do you have any sailor friends that might want to talk to me? So it's like, I tell you what, one of these rugs right here that he told me was like this silk and wool prayer rug. It was only like, like a couple of feet long, like 3 feet long. It's like, tell you what, if I find some guys to come and talk to you, can I have one? He was like, well, $40. So okay. So we make this deal. He sells me the rug for $40. And I'm walking around the Turkish bazaar talking to sailors and saying, hey, meet my friend. Come here, come here. And I'm introducing him to all these people. And a lot of them buy rugs. And we become pretty good friends, like, talking like that. And years later, um, I've got this big rug and this smaller rug. Years later, after I'm married, we're here in New Jersey. My wife decides to wash them in the washing machine.
Oh no.
Seriously. And then she tries to put part of it, and it won't fit in the dryer, right? So they're all trashed. They really are. and she felt bad. She was like, Gary, I got to tell you, I always thought that they were fake. I talked to somebody. This one rug I messed up was worth $10,000.
Oh my gosh.
That's what she told me. So it's like, you know what? And as I'm like biting my teeth and trying to be nice, it's like, you didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know the value of these things. So
Sure.
don't worry about it. I'm sure I'll make a mistake that's pretty big later down the road. Just remember this then. Okay.
There you go. There's a way to
That's it.
keep the balance in the relationship.
Exactly. You made this big mistake. I've got like 5 mistakes I can make. We'll be cool.
So
But yeah,
what's your wife like? What's her deal?
she is brilliant. She has her doctorate in educational leadership, and she got the doctorate in 3 years.
Whoa.
And she really is phenomenally brilliant. But she, because of this whole surgery thing, she might not be able to work again. So it's like we're like regrouping and trying to figure out exactly what life has to offer. And the whole surgery thing was bizarre. Okay, there's always a backstory to everything.
Sure.
Um, when she was in college, she developed a heart murmur, and there's this weird disease that they that's called Kawasaki syndrome, where if you have it, you develop these little areas on your great vessels, like around your heart, that sometimes hold sediment or bacteria or really bad stuff. So they weren't really sure if she had that, right? So, with all our whole whirlwind thing, um, during during childbirth, they gave her these IVs with antibiotics to try to make sure that everything was going to be fine. But she's only like barely 5 feet tall.
Right.
And it seems like they might have pumped her up a little bit too much. I don't know exactly what happened, but when a lady is at that stage of pregnancy, their um, their blood vessels tend to become softer and more flexible. Well, she didn't look like she was having a great time, after the whole childbirth thing. We went home. Our daughter was like 5 weeks early. So she was in the hospital. They ended up sending us home like the next day. It was crazy. So it's like during the night, she just starts like, she goes into congestive heart failure.
Oh,
So,
yikes.
yeah. And they keep telling me the hospital, I should have really sued them. They kept telling me it's like, it just, she just needs water, just watch her. It's like, no, we're going to come in there now. So we pull up. I grab a wheelchair, roll her in. You know how they test your oxygen when you first get to the hospital?
Right.
It was in the 70s, her oxygen saturation, which is way not good.
Yeah,
So it's like,
that's pretty low,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it's extremely low. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be like 90 something.
Yeah.
So wheel her back in, and it's like the nurse starts freaking out. She was like, cardiac emergency. And they take her in. So I'm sitting there, not knowing exactly what's going on with my daughter there. You know what I mean? Also, premature in a little bit in the same hospital. So it's like after about an hour, they come and get me. And they're like, okay, you can see her now. So I go in, and they've got her on all this Lasix and other IV fluids and everything, taking off this fluid, and she's looking pretty good until she takes off the oxygen mask, and we all realize that she can't breathe. It's like, this is really bad. They look at her, they're like, we're not sure what's going on, but fortunately, Johns Hopkins is right around Baltimore, so we want to fly her to Johns Hopkins if that's okay with you. It's like, please get her out of here. Take her somewhere where they can figure out what's going on.
Right.
He gets there, and that it seems that her aortic valve actually tore. It almost shredded, and she had a dissection at the top of her aorta and then down by her kidneys. And the way these great vessels are made, they're like three straws. If you put a straw inside a straw inside a straw, the inner layer tore in a couple of spots. So it's like, it's the same thing. You remember the guy on Three's Company, John Ritter?
Yep.
That's how he died.
Surprisingly, yes, I do know that.
Yeah, that's how he died.
Uh huh.
Aortic dissection. So she was like really lucky. And they were like, well, usually with things like this, maybe it's Marfan's. And Marfan's syndrome is what they think that Abraham Lincoln had. You tend to be really tall and have really big hands and other features that she obviously did not have. So it was like this mystery. So the first night there, they're like, okay, try to keep her nice and calm. We're going to try to wait a couple of weeks. Then we're going to keep her here, or we're going to wait a couple of weeks until her blood vessels go through a little bit of the hardening type process that happens after childbirth, and then we're going to have to do some surgery. It's like, okay, okay. So they're like, okay, go get some rest now. So I walk over and talk to her mom and her brothers that are there at the time, and they're like, okay, we're not sure what's going on either, so we're going to go back to the hotel. Here's the keys to the car, and we'll see you there. It's like, okay, great. So we're all walking around in a fog, right? After they get completely out of the way, and this was in '94, before people had cell phones. I'm standing here looking at these car keys in my hand and realizing I have no idea where the car is.
You just forgot, or you just weren't
They
paying
forgot to tell me.
attention?
No, they didn't even tell me because we were all so stunned.
Oh, it was their
That,
car.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so I walked around all these parking garages around Johns Hopkins Hospital in this fog, and I finally found the car like an hour and a half later. So hopped in, drove back to the hospital. Just as I'm opening the door, I hear the phone ring. And it's that same hospital that still had where my daughter still was, and they were like, okay, she's having trouble breathing now. Can we fly her over to Hopkins too? It's
What?
like, yeah, seriously. It's like, sure, bring her on over. We'll be able to tell Cindy that they wanted to have her here with her mom. So they're both there. Cindy's on one floor in ICU, and Anna's down in the neonatal unit. So I'm going back and forth between floors. I walk in, and it's like I knew which one was my daughter. It was amazing. It seems that she was fine. Kids that are born a few weeks early, sometimes there's this little artery that connects their. We didn't expect a medical lesson tonight, did you?
Yeah, I was gonna say this is. You seem to
Yeah.
have a wealth
Yeah.
of medical
Right.
knowledge.
Right. Well, I've been through it. But it's like there's this little artery that connects the pulmonary and the aorta, and it usually closes in a few days. But it's like blood kind of like swirls around. So that's all that was. And they said, okay, when she's 18 months old, we'll just make a little incision in her back, and we'll like go in and we'll just close that off, and she'll be fine. It's like, all right, if that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. So go back in, and my we tell, Cindy, my wife, what's going on with Anna, and that she's going to be fine. She's here because of you. You know what I mean? They wanted to keep you close together. So it's like, it worked out that they decided that, okay, her aortic valve was really bad. So they went in and did surgery, and they tried to save it. Didn't work. So they gave her a St. Jude mechanical valve and replaced part of the arch of her aorta. And at that point in time, they were too scared to do anything with the dissection down at the bottom by her kidneys because it could leave her paralyzed. And she was only 27 years old at the time.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, we'll just wait on that and everything should be fine. So it's like after she was in Hopkins for like a month, and I was like sleeping on the floor or the Ronald McDonald House across the street, whatever I could do. My employers at the time were great about it. Whatever you need to do, we'll hold your spot. We get home, and as a kid, I used to collect stamps. I had a couple of the stamp albums there. Now, this mechanical valve she got was a St. Jude valve, right? We walk over, and she walks by like really slow and looks at the floor. and one of the stamps had fallen out of the stamp album, and she picked it up and held it and looked at me, and her eyes were big, and it said St. Jude on it.
Whoa.
No lie.
That's
No
pretty
lie.
trippy.
Yeah. So it's like we've had all these really cool signs that things are going to be crazy for a while, then they always work out great. So, getting back to my wife, yeah, she has a doctorate in educational leadership, but we're not sure what that's going to mean for the future. We're just trying to get her healthy. So, in 6 months, they're going to do another surgery and replace that original mechanical valve because it's leaking a little bit in the top of her aorta, and she's going to heal up great from that, and then we'll move on, go on.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, man. Now, how old or how long have you guys been married?
We've been married for 23 years now.
23 years. Wow, that's pretty impressive there, buddy.
Thank you very much.
So, I'm interested.
Yeah.
You were talking about, churches and things like that, and then you mentioned St. Jude and that having some significance to you guys. So it sounds like there's certainly some Catholic influence there, obviously also from your wife's side of the family. That was a big part of it. Has that been a big part of your guys' life, the Catholicism?
It had to, because she was determined to get married in a Catholic church.
Right.
Her brother went through seminary school,
Uh-huh.
and all the priests were their family friends. It's like we had like a family monsignor that would show up and party. One of them, they were some really pretty fun guys. One would sing New York, New York, and he had a bit of a drinking problem. But we had to. It was decided that we had to get married in the Catholic Church. So to do that, I had to convert to Catholicism, which means I had to go through like an RCIA type thing. I had to go at night and sit in a room with like 5 other guys that had to marry Catholic women, and they had to go through the process too.
It's
So
just all dudes trying to marry Catholic women.
that's all it was. That's all it was. Because they were determined to get married in the Catholic Church. So we went through the whole thing, and it's like I didn't really have a problem with it at that time.
Right.
And I was willing to do whatever it took to make her happy. And it's like some of the most incredible, and I was shocked. I don't know if it's just this area or not in New Jersey, but some of the most understanding people that I've ever met associated with any church have been Catholics with
Huh.
the don't talk to them about anything that's truly biblical, that's like it doesn't fit the persona. They'll look at you like you're a nut. But
Right.
as long as it's something that they're told is how it is, great.
Yeah,
Works out fantastic.
that's interesting. You really we certainly have some Catholic listeners. I learned that after the Mary episode.
Right.
And but I don't think it comes as a surprise to anybody that I think that the general stigma about Catholics is that they're a little bit more curmudgeonly than some of the other people in different Christian faiths.
Well, growing up, I didn't meet any Catholics. I just met people that scared the heck out of me.
Yeah.
So it's like Catholics are pretty wonderful. that everyone that I've met, and it's like it's been that part of it's pretty cool. But the one of the main differences between the way Catholics understand faith, on the most part anyway, even the ones that are in seminary school, is that it has to apply to Catholic dogma, and it has to be what they are told, and it's like you follow the rituals enough, you know what I mean? It's like kind of getting this idea, it's most of them don't really read the Bible as much as some other aspects of religion.
Right.
It's like they pretty much are comfortable in the church, and it's like they got the community there, and so it's like it's more of we know that God's real, Jesus is real, and I'm I'm fine with that. I'm happy about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah. That may seem like a simple phrase, like, yeah, that's
yeah,
fine, we're totally cool. But really, it does kind of sum up like kind of a way of life. Just like, yep, Jesus God, that's good.
yeah,
I like it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And with all the other things going on in the world, anybody that actually believes those two things, it's like I'm down with that. You could be my friend forever. I will never argue about that. You know?
Yeah, okay. So you got you had a lot of Catholic influence. You got married in a Catholic church. You had to go through, get confirmed or whatnot, however they put it. And
Yep.
so is that still part of your guys' life? You still go to mass and things like that?
Yeah, yeah. Not as often as it's. This is gonna sound bad, but it's like when things started getting problematic, we tend to go to church more.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
weird how that works.
Of course.
We're part of the local Catholic Church, and we get the envelopes that we're expected to put money in every week. We go when we can. Um, my wife, Cindy, she's really neat. She really is pretty cool. Like I'm just amazed all the times. Like there's a shrine for Padre Pio, like right down just a couple of miles away from here, and she was gone for a while one day when she was trying to figure out, when we first found out what was going on with her, that another surgery was going to be needed. And she said that she was down at the shrine and she was praying to him. It's like, just pray to Jesus. And she was like, this, what this does, I'm praying to him and to Jesus too. But if you pray to a Catholic priest or a saint, they hear you and they pray for you too. So you get double prayers. It's like, fine, works for me. It's
Yeah,
like,
you're a pretty laid back dude, Gary. I like you.
yeah, thanks.
Like,
Well, I
yeah,
know.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. The whole as long as Jesus is involved with it, and it's like nobody's gonna hurt anybody, and everybody's cool. I'm fine.
Yeah. It's interesting because and I don't know how much energy you put into involving yourself in sort of the fringe community. I'm assuming you've heard Canary Cry Radio and things like that.
Yeah, you guys are partially responsible for my eyes opening, actually. And have you ever seen this little video? It's called Age of Deceit. This Gons guy
Oh
makes.
no, Gary, Gary, Gary,
But no,
Gary.
no, no. I just saw it a couple ago. It had nothing to do with my eyes opening. But yeah, man, I've been listening to you for a long time.
Well, that's great, and I'm glad because now we got you here. And there are, at least a handful of Catholics who have contacted me or Gons. It's certainly a minority in the group, but I always find it fascinating because I gotta say, kind of this fringy type stuff, a lot of times is pretty harsh on Catholics, and especially I would say the Holy Roman Church. And I think we try to do a good job of, not alienating Catholics as people, but I mean, what's that kind of like? I'm kind of assuming that you lean more Catholic, and
No,
you
I
can.
don't.
Okay,
I,
that's what I was gonna say. You can correct me if not. I'm kind of trying to see what's going on with you.
it's sketchy. It's really shaky ground because it's like at every family function, everybody else is Catholic, and I'm scared of offending them. You know
Right?
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's, how somebody, okay, how somebody like if you take vitamins and you see that their health and their diet could be improved if they take vitamins, if you tell them about it, they think you're crazy and they're not going to pay attention to you unless their doctor tells them.
Sure. Sure.
Same scenario. They really don't pay attention to anything if their priest hasn't told them. Um, Fortunately, we've had some really, really cool priests and monsignors that have been like really close to the family.
Yeah.
And they've always been really welcoming people. So, but if you like, I made the mistake a couple of years ago of asking, asking. Okay, my brother-in-law, which is my wife's brother, I knew went to seminary school. His friend went to she's got a degree. She has her master's in religion, and it's like I asked them, it's like, what about Genesis 6? What do you think about that? Neither one of them had a clue what I was talking about. It's like, all right, dude, you were in seminary school, you've got your master's in religious studies. Tell me why you don't have any clue what I'm talking about. And it's like, well, we go by, the Catholic documents. It's like, when was the last time you read the Bible? Well, not so much. It's like, okay, fine. So we keep talking, and somehow the subject of the what fruit came up, or what fruit was eaten. And it's like, you know what? That probably wasn't even an apple. It was probably like a fig or something else. And there are a lot of theories that I'm not even going to tell you guys.
Sure.
And they were like, no, apple. It's an apple. It's like, how do you know that? That's what we were told. So it's like with Catholics, and I guess most people in religion, with most religions that are like a set, there's like a set framework for pretty much. If someone in authority sets things in line, this is what you're told, this is the way it is, and they're really leery of anything that doesn't fit that complete that dogma that they learned,
Yeah.
because they developed a framework for their entire lives, and it's something that they don't have to worry or think about.
And it's very structured. I mean, the Catholic Church is very structured. Everybody's got their ducks in a row. And, I would say that's one of Catholicism's strong points. Is this sort of corporate structure that they have in place is very effective as far as the organization is concerned.
It really is. But there's some edges that, okay, they had this festival during the summer at the church where they had a part of the heart of one of the saints that was being going from church to church. And it's like, come on. It's like, I put up with a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go and see this heart.
Right.
This is just, but it's like, okay, don't worry about it. So it's like, they love me. I love them. We're all part of the same wonderful family here. So, there's a lot. We don't really concentrate, too much on the aspects of biblical versus Catholic structure.
Yeah.
We just all love each other, and it's like, we're not going to do anything bad.
Well,
I
think that's a great example because there's, doing this show has been a wonderful experience for me because, I've talked to people all over the spectrum as far as kind of the Christian spectrum goes. And, the one thing that I've learned is that, as much research and beast system theories and things like that as there are around the Holy Roman Catholic Church, it seems to be that Catholics and Protestants can get along okay for the most part.
Yeah, and they can actually embrace even like Gandalf when he comes down from Middle Earth. Mike Heiser really helps me a lot, as far as really help put things in perspective for me. So as long as I can know what's going on and be able to answer questions myself, I don't push anybody else to even like. I try not to talk about these things too much to anybody that I know would not embrace it that much.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but as long as I know that there are other people out there that kind of see things a little bit, that they see that there's more of a gray area, I'm fine. I'm fine with all.
I'm curious because you obviously had a lot of Catholic influence and you're around those people a lot. And you had to go through the whole Catholic thing, but you seem to now. I see you seem to be leaning more Protestant or biblical or however you want to put it. Where did that come in? Because you said you weren't very, you weren't much in the church as a kid. How did you come to that?
Through my wife saying, "You better get your act together, or else we're not getting married." And
that seems to be a pretty common answer for the fellas.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And the thing is, though, it's like the things that I can't talk about with them, I write, So it's like, I can get it out of my system, without having to bring it up in public to anybody, you
Right.
know? But it's like, I've always, there are some things, anytime that you're married for a long time, there are going to be, and you get married, fairly young anyway. There are going to be, issues that kind of push things.
Yeah.
And, um, there was a certain point when, um, like we were, going through it, right? And I was like, and I was a mess,
Sure.
and my ego was like all over the place, and I couldn't really hear what was being told to me because I was so downhearted, and I had a really cool experience. It was like this big giant warm bear hug, and I actually physically heard, the words, it's okay, I've got this, and I knew that my ego was just getting in the way of so much.
Wow.
So I learned from that point to try to take my ego out of the situation as much as possible and really listen to what other people were saying. And my life changed. And that was about, it was about 10 years ago or so.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man. You know, there's there's a lot to be said about that part of life. And I don't mean age-wise. I mean when you realize that your ego's kind of getting in the way and that you don't always have to necessarily be right about things, and you life is much much better when you stop trying to have people hear you and you can actually listen to them. It really is an important step, and Jesus talked about it all the time. I mean, that was a lot of what he talked about was, dying to yourself and putting others before you and things like that. But there's even a lot of people who technically qualify as good Christians, but man, they just keep getting their ego so big it's getting in their own way.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. And it's really sad. It's like, and Jesus was such a tough guy. It's like walking into temples and flipping tables and telling people how things were going to be. And it's
Right.
like, I don't need to have my ego so strong, so that I don't need to recreate that wheel. He did, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if I can actually take myself out of the equation as much as possible and really hear and really see what's going on around me, and, the personal interactions and everything else that's going on, that's pretty much, what we have. It's like we're told to not love this life and love this world. It's like, this is such a short little blink of time. Like, why let your ego get so much in the way that you can't see what's really going on?
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot more peaceful way to live too. When you stop worrying about so much of how you look or what you can get out of something or being right about something or being seen as, you know, so smart or so anything really. When you give up all that kind of stuff, life tends to go a little bit easier for some reason.
It does.
You get along better with people. I find, the more I experience sort of that part, that transformation in my own life. I mean, the closer I get to God, the more open I am to hearing what he's got to say. I can stop talking and I can just listen to what he's trying to tell me. And yeah, I mean that's a really important part. I think that's one thing that Christianity, just sort of as a group of people, and the systems we kind of put around it here on Earth, that part of it isn't quite. I don't know, not so much emphasis is put on that as I think Jesus put on it in his day.
Yeah, and because it's not easily defined. It's like people love to be able to define things and say, okay, this is what this is what this is, and some of the most spectacular arguments have come up because one person decides something is a certain way and somebody else decides that something else is a different way, and it's like, I think there's a lot of things that people just don't really need to know. And if you do need to know, you find out at that perfect time.
Right.
It's like completely believe in free will. But I also think that people aren't really overloaded intentionally. And when you're ready for something, then you find out, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's so much easier to be happy that way. It really is. It really is. It's like you don't have to have all the answers, and you don't have to argue with people about their answers and your answers. Just smile and know that Jesus is he's everything. Jesus, God, the Trinity, however you look at it like that. But it's like we don't need to fight about it because other people are going to be fighting about it. We just need to appreciate, what we're supposed to be doing here, try to learn as much as we can, help our brothers, love our brothers, and try to be the, try to experience the wonderful parts of it without letting the negative parts and the arguments overwhelm everything. And
Yeah.
people are just argumentative. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh, tell me about it. I mean, I think this is actually a great conversation to be having, and of course the listeners of this show don't need to know this, but it also goes a long way for just your own personal happiness and joy, like you're saying, and your own inner peace. When you don't have to be right, you don't have to be seen as the best. I mean, there's so much argument that goes along with a lot of these theological concepts that we get so wrapped up in proving ourselves and trying to convert others to our way of thinking. Is even, I would say, especially within Christendom, not even taking into account the secular aspect of it, but you just find so much more peace and joy in it when you can focus on the things that you do have in common. Not stop focusing on the things that are different between believers, but the things that you have in common. And it sounds simple, and that's not some huge special revelation from on high to me as I'm talking now. Lots of people have come to this conclusion, but it's so surprising how often that it's not practiced. I mean, especially kind of in this fringy sort of circle I run in, at least. I mean, there's so much put into like whose theory of the rapture is more right than someone else's. When it's like,
Right.
well, I mean, yeah, intellectually, you have a very compelling argument. However, we're not going to know till it happens, and by the time it happens, it's too late.
Yeah, and we don't even know really who's going to be taken and who's going to be left because biblically, a lot of the good people were the ones that were left in the field, and
Right.
it's like other people taken away. So we don't know any of that stuff. So it's like people seem to be attracted to confidence, sincerity, and people that smile and are really nice and really believe in themselves and really believe in, that you don't have to overwhelm a scenario. You're really happy with, going about your day and seeing the details in life. And it's like if you can be a really steadfast person that is solid, that other people know that if they have questions that you're not gonna to be all judgy on them, that you're actually going to listen to what they have to say. There's a bigger chance that someone that is in a questioning scenario is going to come to you and talk to you.
Right. Yeah.
Like kids today, like, they're taught though that nothing exists outside that textbook. That's scholastic textbook at any level.
Yeah.
And it's people that the people that actually have read the Bible. You know what I mean? It's like that's completely foreign. So any of these concepts, the general understanding of what they think of as Jesus Christ, wasn't the strong character that he was. So it's like in times of you're ready to start singing like Simon and Garfunkel here or something, but like when going over troubled water, that bridge there, it's like they don't really realize because they've never really been taught through a graded system scholastically, the majority of people anyway, that there's really anything to it. And it's like they usually hold everybody off at arm's length that has any kind of you know, deity, you know, type idea of anything that's going on, because it's just so foreign. So if you can be that really solid, you know, person that creates a life that's full of happy and joy, like that's one of the things I love about this podcast that makes me smile all the time. But if you can be that person that has a great time with life, and that you can be there to talk to without coming down on them for anything they might say, because we all have questions, you know.
Right.
That's pretty much the you know, I think that's the way to really get, you know, through in this life, you know, and really influence others instead of slapping your superior beliefs about anything against the wall and making your mark and saying, okay, I was right. You turn out to be wrong a lot of times when you're right. You know?
Yeah, you know, I was going to say that. Like, a lot of times, especially when I say things like, oh, you know, you can just have a conversation and love somebody and not have to prove them you're right. A lot of times when you get into listening mode, instead of, you know, trying to convince somebody of something, you'll realize that you were the one wrong in the first place. And that's not a loss. I mean, we got to stop thinking about, like, if somebody else was right about something, we got to stop thinking of that as a loss on our side, because really that's a win. If we get our own eyes open to some sort of deception that we've been believing and probably even teaching and forcing on other people, you know, if we get that perspective changed, or that whatever it is changed, that's a win for everybody.
It really is, and it's something that humanity has never really shown itself capable of doing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so what you do is try to be that really cool, like, you know, easygoing person that's not so easygoing when you question their beliefs or really get down to it. You find out there's a lot more to them than that.
Right.
But surface, if you can be that, you know, that person that anybody can come to and talk to, if they can see that you actually care about other people and you want to help other people, that's the way to do it, like on an individual basis, I think, anyway. You can't really go too big societal on it, because that always blows up. You
know? I know. Let's not even get into that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's interesting, man. So again, just to clarify that and wrap it up a little bit, you know, you had to get your act together for your wife to get married. So why Protestantism, though? Like, how did you get there instead of the Catholicism? What influenced you for, you know, the Protestant version? And I use that language just because it's
right.
The technical other category besides Catholicism. So what got you there?
Basically, the popes. I don't think that any person should be called father, for one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like saying that a human being is actually your liaison with Jesus Christ is just never sat right. You know?
Right.
And it's like, I really cringe whenever someone, you know, calls another person, you know, father on a non-biological level. It just really offends me. You know?
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's like I just and a lot of the homework that I've done as far as what exactly has gone on through human nature, it's not like any set religion has been really good overall, you know?
Yeah, everybody's pretty much got their own sets of things they need to that mistakes made throughout history.
Right, exactly. And it's like but so what I do, I look at the person themselves that's actually, you know, the people that are around me, and these wonderful group of Catholics are the most wonderful people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
So it's like I have no problem just hanging out, you know, but I just know that if I'm going to say anything, I'm going to say it by writing it in a book that they're never going to read anyway. And I can be safe, and it's like I can file that away, you know, and have a whole new set of people to talk to about that.
Well, but there you go. All right. I finally did it. I'm going to bite. You've mentioned a few times about writing things down and writing books and things.
Yeah.
What do you got going on? Tell me about it.
Ah, um, got a couple of books actually. The first one's the Fallen Files, and it's like I tried to imagine.
Ooh, nice name.
Thank you, thank you. I tried to imagine, like as I was driving around when this whole thing started, I was listening to the Bible on audiobooks, and it's like James Earl Jones like beaming away, and it's like I'd go between that and the Canary Cry, of course, and also the Naked Bible podcast with Mike
Yeah.
Heiser, like all the other, and it's like Derek Gilbert and all the really cool people, and Josh Peck, many eyes squirrels in her face.
Oh, Josh Peck.
But yeah, it's like it's like all these influences that were just wonderful influences, and it's like all the I've I'm an artist too. Like I draw and paint, and it's like it's easier for me to grasp something if I can see it visually. So um, I started like if I don't paint for a while or draw for a while, I actually get I feel really bad. It's like this feeling comes over me that I can't rest. I can't stop until I get something artistic out. So I wondered if all these thoughts that I've been having riding around, if putting them on, like, typing them into a computer would actually fill that same void.
Right.
And it did. So it's like I just put more thoughts in, more thoughts in. And then it's like I got this idea. It's like, okay, how to get these thoughts across. And it's like I just pictured an angel talking, but it wasn't just an angel. It was an angel that has the same free will that people does. And this angel didn't realize that it was a good angel and thought it was a bad one. And it's like if that person or that being was around from the very beginning to witness everything that was going on,
Right.
would be a pretty neat, and then when that being started interacting with a human, that would be a pretty interesting dynamic there. So I developed a whole novel from, a person basically, a human person, his eyes being open to the supernatural world, even though he, had gone to church a little bit, but not much. It's like, it was just basically a building, social network type thing,
Yeah.
and it's that person's eyes being opened and finding out that everything's going to be fine. It's like we've got all this power and all this, all these backings that the more you find out, the more the more you understand that you're really in pretty good company.
Amen,
So
brother.
there you go. So that was the first book, The Fallen Files, and then the second one I set it like the same characters plus a couple more, but I pictured what's going to be going on in 2025 and slipped into full Canary Cry news talk mode, and it's like all the things going on as far as the chips and the robotics and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's all in. I call that book Dreamweaver because it started out with this guy. He just wanted to, like, he was fascinated with dreams, and he was a software developer and writer. And it's like he found that all these people, he like put out words like, okay, I'm going to make a website with everybody's dreams on it. And it's like if you get this chip that'll automatically upload the dreams, you won't have to work. So it'll be easy for you. And he found that he got overwhelmed with the responses, so he developed this artificial intelligence to handle that. And then it's like, just to be safe, behind another firewall, he developed it really became a primary artificial intelligence to monitor the first one because he really didn't trust it. And it's like, as Dreamweaver goes on, one of the artificial intelligences decides that it's going to take over, and the other one he uses to monitor it. And as if that wasn't enough, I brought in like the Lilith character from way back, and some other, a couple of bad influences going through too. So it's like everybody's kind of like trying to take over everything, it seems.
Nice.
And
Well, that's cool, man. You got all the trippy stuff in there.
Yeah, man, it's like there's pretty much no conspiracy theory I'm not going to hit on at some point.
So, have you published anything, or are you
Yeah,
doing some
yeah,
self-publishing, or how you doing that?
yeah. I like the self-publishing thing because as much as I've learned to set my ego aside, still a little bit of a control-oriented type person about what's out there.
Sure, sure, yeah.
So it's like right now, the Fallen Files. It's like a painting that I did that I used as the cover and made everything, and the same with Dreamweaver. Did all that, and after I get the third book all done and everything, I'm gonna redo the covers on everything so they all match and all that kind of good stuff.
Nice, nice.
But it's a way to interact with people that um, I can I can put on a different face and like be a little bit of a different person, and whatever comes out of communications that way, it's safe that I can talk with my family how they're comfortable with talking, but it's opened up an entire world, such as you guys, that I can talk to about other things.
Yeah, that's pretty rad, man. And to go back to one of the things that you mentioned, um, just looking for another creative outlet or having those outlets that, as an artistic person, a creative person, and to some degree, I think everybody has this in them, and it doesn't always have to be art or, painting or music or podcasting or whatever it is they're doing. Some people do it with math or however they want to get it out. But there certainly is that sort of creative aspect that just needs to get out there. And a lot of times, even if it doesn't see the light of day, even if nobody sees what you've made, I mean, just the fact that you've made it. I mean, I have stuff sitting on hard drives and in closets that I just made because I got a wild hair and just had to do something. And it's just, nobody's ever seen it, but it's an incredibly fulfilling way to spend your time rather than, hey, I got nothing against watching Game of Thrones. I know I'm unpopular in some circles for saying that.
Right,
Um,
right.
but
Pretty phenomenal, man. Flying dragons, it's pretty nuts, man.
I know I gotta give it to them. They're a worldwide sensation for a reason. Even even despite the nudity, even without the nudity, they'd be a worldwide sensation. But that being said, I mean that's cool, man. I mean, did you like plan on publishing those books when you started, or or did it just come about later?
No, that came about later. With the first one, I was actually helping my wife get through her doctoral thesis, and I was doing a lot of proofreading. And when I wasn't helping her, I was at the computer typing in things for myself. And nobody suspected that I was going to write a book, and I didn't even think that I was going to. I thought that I was just filling this creative void, like you were talking about.
Right.
And then the more homework I did, I realized that there's a whole avenue that you can actually not have to wait for a publisher. You can actually go through like Create Space and do everything yourself, and you can actually interact people and get in touch with people instantly. Much quicker that way.
Right. Right.
You know what? I'm just going to do this and see what happens. And I was shocked, man. I was really stunned. I even like with the author name, I say, it's Gary S. Pritchett. I put the S in there as a tribute to Hunter S. Thompson, who was like Gonzo. Well, sorry to bring Gonzo up again, but he was like a journalist, back in the day that pushed all the limits. Even though he was a pretty bad dude, he
Right.
pushed So it's like I figured, okay, if my middle name is Sean, so I'm going to use that S as a little bit of the tribute toward the mental, the point about pushing yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was shocked I actually released it and it became a book. And you were talking about the whole creative aspect. It's like we're all creations of the same creator. He's a very imaginative person, and he gave us imagination for a reason to be able to use.
Yeah. It's
And
that co-creation, buddy.
yeah, and to be an imager of him, I would think that he would like to see creation or things created by the the things that he created. It's a pretty wonderful thing. And I'm curious, what exactly creative outlets? What did you make? What do you do?
I'm kind of all over the place, man. I was kind of a weird kid when I was younger and started doing a lot of stuff there. A lot of music. Been in bands and toured all over the country, and I've done some paintings that I have hanging up here. I had a very strong model phase where I would make models. And for a long time, I mean, countless videos and things like that, videos and photography. And yeah, podcasting, I really do consider a creative outlet for me. If I don't podcast for a while, I really feel it. I just like having the conversations. But yeah, I mean, I've really dived in. There was a period of time that for Christmas presents, I didn't want to buy anybody Christmas presents, so I tore apart old electronics and went at it with a soldering gun and made like these sculptures out of electronic components, out of old VCRs and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. And tried my hand at welding. Did a lot of welding for a while. What else did I do? I don't know, just stuff like that, I pretty much don't have a single artistic medium that I can say I've really mastered, but I can say that I've strongly dabbled in quite a bit different mediums as far as that goes.
Awesome, awesome. There was some stuff that I found for a while. It was called Sculpey. It was like this clay type stuff that,
Ooh.
yeah, you can mold it into anything, and then you can bake it, and it sets just in the oven.
Oh,
You know?
just so you don't need a kiln or anything.
Right, right. It's
That's pretty cool. I actually just recently on my Instagram account, in my discovery page, I've gotten a lot of sculpting stuff pop up, and I thought, hey, that sounds pretty fun. But because of the whole kiln and stuff for regular clay, I was like, I don't think I can make it work.
Yeah, I think that this was a few years ago. I'm pretty sure that there has to be a product that's still out there that fills that void, and
Sure.
if the thing isn't there, I made some pretty cool stuff, man. I made those little gnomes.
The
Um,
lawn gnomes?
yeah, I made some that were like I made a Batman one. You had like a Batman costume on,
That's pretty cool.
it was, and I painted it and everything. It was so cool that somebody stole it.
Oh, really?
That's know that you made something cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty good compliment, actually.
Yeah, I can't get a compliment. It's like, yeah, that stuff's fine.
I'll have to give it a try. I'm gonna take a little note here. Yes. Okay, good. All right. Well, you know what? I'm pretty interested in your involvement with kind of the fringy stuff and how you started waking up to that. I mean, you were in the military for a while. You've been all over the world. I'm sure you've seen a lot of stuff. How did you? And of course, you've seen Age of Deceit. But how did you kind of start waking up to kind of the weirder stuff?
Yeah, really, the only reason I brought that up is because the comment that you made
I know.
earlier.
That was a good one. I get it now. I'm very proud of Gons for that. And I actually met Gons probably less than a month after he released that video, and I had no idea. Anyways, enough about that. How did you start learning about some of the shadier stuff going on in the world?
Because of some of the influences that I had. Okay, my Navy experience, when I got out of while I was still in the Navy, there were some really weird people that were around. And the house that I was in, when I moved in, my buddy bought this house, and he was like, okay, you can move in and do the whole rent thing, be a roommate, but just know sometimes you're going to hear a vacuum cleaner going off in the middle of the night, and there's nobody around. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, okay. And then seeing some things, like reaching for a light switch, it turns off, seeing things in the mirror. It's like, okay, there's more going on here.
Oh, so you actually had some like supernatural experiences.
dude, I've got some hair-raising supernatural
Oh
experiences.
my gosh, how have we not talked about this yet?
I know. But it's like, the thing is, though, when you're in that world, like I was for a while, it attracts more of it, you know? And it's
Yep.
like this person that I don't even know how I met her. She was the wife of an A6 pilot. A6s are a kind of a Navy aircraft.
Sure.
And like, we became friends somehow. I don't even remember how. And she was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have this party. Come on over." It's like, okay, cool, party, Navy guy, and I'll go. So I get there, and it's like, it's it's beyond weird. And she starts calling herself Zelda, and it's like
Cool.
saying you're gonna, yeah, and saying you're gonna see like this. Well, tell me what you see. And it's like, well, I'm hoping this is what you want to tell me, but I just saw like a something go by over there with feathers on its head. She was like, "Yeah, that's the chief."
What?
Yeah, yeah, I'm not lying, man. She was like,
Wait, I'm
"Yeah,
sorry. We got to take a step back. Where were you? You were
I was in
just with this woman somewhere?
yeah." She had this party at her house.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. It was one of my Navy friends that they we became friends that way for some reason, and she decided to take me under her wing. I think I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But like, she was like, "Okay, I want you to come over. We're having this party, and you're gonna see some stuff." Um, but she wouldn't tell me what it was that I was supposed to see.
What kind of party was this? Was this just like a come look at ghosts party?
It turned out to be that way.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. Remember how I told you, like, with the whole Native American thing, that I've had some like situations with animals, like a hawk landing on my arm.
Yeah.
Weird people are attracted to me too. And it's like, she decided she was just going to show me her little world and talk about it because she could see things around me, see that other influences. So it's like, okay. So it's like, I'm over there and I see these things. And I really did. I saw like this Native American spirit come by, and then I was like, okay, I'm not going to tell you what I saw, but you tell me what you were referring to that I might see. And she described it. It's like, okay, you win. I'm going to go home now.
Wow.
So yeah, so we had a couple of situations like that, and then she decided she was going to call me on the phone, every now and then. She even found, I don't know how, she even found me when I was married and called me and told me that my father was standing beside me. And I looked over and they were like, you know how when there's like lights, um, multiple lights going around, you can have like a double shadow,
Yeah.
you know? I looked over and had like a double shadow. So it's like,
Oh, that's
okay,
good.
I don't know if this means anything or not, but yeah, okay. Thank you for telling me. That's cool.
Thanks for the ghost update, lady.
Yeah, thanks for the ghost update. Um, yeah, and there have been more things that I've seen. My wife and I each saw something, but that was before I had the whole, big bear hug, warm embrace, get your ego out of the way. I'm real experience with, what I think was Jesus Christ or one of his liaisons.
Sure.
Like since that point, I have seen nothing but calm. It's like all that just went away from that moment forward. So I can tell you about, remembrances that I had and things that I've seen with other people and have witnesses to. But the cool thing is that none of that's happening now. And it's like I can really concentrate on other things, and the whole creative thing.
Yeah. So
It's,
what? So you, I'm really having to pick and choose which things I go back to because you do keep mentioning. You're like, oh, and then there's all these other things, but besides that, and then moving on. But I mean,
I
yeah,
can tell you one. Okay.
yeah, do it.
We were at we used to have a house before we bought this one. I was downstairs in the basement, which always felt kind of sketchy. And if you've ever been in a house that feels kind of sketchy, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife was upstairs and she yelled to me and she was like, "Gary, come here." So I go upstairs and she was on the phone with her mother and she pointed, and it was like this little ranch house with like a bay window going out into this porch right out front. And I look at her, and she's just pointing out the window and talking to her mom and describing what she's seeing. So it's like I pull up a chair and sit down beside her, and we look out, and this little person, I guess like about like 3.5, 4 feet tall, wearing this tan parka. She remembers the front of the parka having fur around the face. I remember it without fur, but that's the only thing that differs in what we remember. Walked up on the porch and put, I want to say hand, but it put like a sleeve on the railing, and you could see there was no hand there. It was just like this parka, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. And then it froze and turned toward me, and there was nothing but a black void inside this parka.
What?
What the heck? So
Uh,
yeah, I'm not kidding. And she sees it too, and she's telling her mother, what she's seeing, and I see it. And then it turns and starts running down the driveway. Okay, it's like a gravel driveway. If you've ever run on a fairly freshly laid gravel driveway, you kick up stones, you hear it. It's kind of loud, right?
yeah.
Me being, I guess, I don't know. I'm nuts. I like to push my own boundaries. I run outside after it, and it's got to be like 11:30 at night. It was like, and it was cold. It was way cold. It was like 17 degrees. I run out, and then I see it going down the driveway, pumping its elbows furiously. There's nothing touching the gravel, nothing at all. It's just this floating parka.
Wow.
Crazy. It makes a left out of the driveway and goes down the street. So it's like every hair on the back of my neck is standing because I'm a little scared here, and it's also really cold. But I want to see it. I just want to make sure it's not a kid that's lost, because
Sure.
there's still in your head. So I get to the end of the driveway and look down, and all I see is this big white Great Dane looking dog down by the down underneath the street light, looking at me. And then it turns and walks away and kind of vanishes in the darkness. I have no idea what to make of any of this. So I call the cops. It's like, okay, I'm not sure what to tell you, but I just want to make sure that there are no missing children reports, like in a kid that would be about this tall.
Sure.
And they
Wow.
check.
So you did your due
Yeah,
diligence on this thing.
I really did. And I stood out there in the drive in my front yard waiting for the police officer to show up, freezing cold, just to make sure that I didn't see it again or it wasn't like hiding in the bushes or a kid. And they checked, and this was in Clayton, New Jersey. He checked, there are no missing kids, nobody's missing, and he just looked at me and it's like he's all he said was, "You saw something weird, right?" It's like, yeah. He was like, "Okay, if any kids show up missing, we'll do, we'll check it out. We'll tell you what's going on, but don't expect to hear anything, and just go back in the house. It's probably best." It's like, yep, I agree with you. I just walked us, and Cindy and I look at each other, and our jaws never really closed the entire time. We're just still looking at each other, and her mom's asking what's going on the other end of the phone. And she tells her, and we saw it. We have no idea what we saw except for like a tan parka, but it was more than that. So yeah, I've seen stuff.
That's gnarly, man. All
It was
right.
nuts.
So yeah,
Yeah,
you got the full experience. Scary parka children and everything.
scary faceless parka children. Yeah. So it's
Wow.
like the thing is, I know that that helped me to be to bridge the gap to better um accept Jesus Christ if I know that there are other influences around that he was referring to and to actually have seen them interact. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It actually made it an easier transition. As
Yeah.
strange as that is, but that's reality.
Yeah. No, man, it's true. I mean, once you see something like that, you gotta you gotta start thinking real hard about what you're doing with your life.
Yep, stone sober, everything like that. But and then it's like biblically, like Paul's talking about powers and principalities, and everybody else is talking. It's like this is what they're talking about, and it's
Right.
like never. I never want to interact with anything like that again. And I would never make up anything about anything like that. You know, I know what I've seen and I know what I've read, and it seems to align, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
interesting too because I've had different experiences kind of across the board. Obviously, I've talked quite a bit about sleep paralysis, but I've also had seen some weird stuff, not quite as vivid as what you've described, but similar stuff. And I mean, I've had stuff fly across the room when I was a kid, and on the other hand, I've experienced like real, true, like crazy miracles and
yeah,
seen some crazy stuff like that. And, it once in a while comes up in conversation with a secular person, just in casual conversation. And, they're very, you know, skeptical of everything I say. But the big thing is like, why would I lie about that? Like,
yeah.
why would I make this up? I mean, I guess if I was like a crazy person, I would make it up just to like feel cool or something. But it doesn't. I don't gain anything by looking like a crazy person.
No, it's like I don't talk about this stuff. It's like, people in the family, know about this because, Cindy's mom first told them that we saw something. And then, but, it's like, it doesn't benefit. There's absolutely no reason to throw yourself out there and make yourself look like some kind. It doesn't make any sense,
Yeah,
you know?
no, it
But
totally. It's
but you know what's cool though?
Tell
It's
me.
like for anyone who doesn't believe in anything, it just takes one experience to open their eyes a
Yeah,
little. And then it's like once they've kind of seen something and felt something, then a whole world of possibilities becomes a little bit more easily gotten across, you know?
yep. No, I hear you. I mean that just having one little experience that makes you question the nature of reality
Yeah.
it can really make a make a huge impact on the choices you make for the rest of your life, especially concerning your soul.
Yeah, like that's kind of a big deal, you know? And it's like people that know me, I doubt that anybody really knows that story except for really close people.
Yeah.
So I did not expect to tell you that. I didn't have anything set up like that.
Oh
But
my gosh.
but look, there is so much more out there that we're going to see after this little blink of time is done. That it's like the whole. I really think that people are actually multidimensional in
Mhm.
themselves because we've got a spirit, we've got a soul within us that almost never interacts noticeably with us. Like it's actually on a different dimension or different. There's something different, but it's actually assigned to us, and you communicate with it. Sometimes you kind of get ideas what's going on with it, like the spirit, but your flesh wants to do all this other stuff, which is on a whole nother plane. So it's
Yeah.
like, why nothing else? Once you grasp that, nothing else is really that far of a stretch.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And yeah, even that multi-dimensional aspect, there's quite a bit of pretty credible and compelling people in Christian spiritual circles who talk about that, where your soul is in two dimensions at once almost.
It sure feels that way.
Yeah, certainly. Well, what do you think your favorite conspiracy theory is?
Oh, I love monsters, man. It's like,
Ooh,
yeah, yeah.
some
It's like,
cryptozoology.
yeah, because that's what I've had the most experience with.
Yeah.
As far as like being out in the woods all the time. Like I grew up like taking off. The same thing I did when I was in the Navy, like taking off from the boat and just walking around. I did the same thing growing up, and I spent so much time just out in the woods, and I just feel a little closer to it. And then moving to New Jersey, where okay, before that, growing up, there was this bridge called DeCourcy Bridge, and it's like there was a story: you go out and turn your headlights off and honk the horn 3 times, and this thing shows up and tries to like steal your hit. It's
Right.
like every place has their own little urban legend. But then it's like when I moved here to New Jersey, I started hearing all this about the Jersey Devil thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like people have this connection with the ethereal world that may or may not be going on around them that they don't want to admit, but they love monsters, you know? So it's like there have been so many crazy things in history that nobody really knows exactly what they are. And it's like crazy sounds that you hear out in the woods that you want to assign to like a bobcat or whatever big cat or creature you have in the area.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like that kind of like grows a little bit. And it's like the area that I'm in now, there aren't supposed to be any coyotes around. But we saw one, not long ago. So we know that they're here. So it's like it's not that far of a stretch to think that there might be something else around. And when you hear like crazy things going on right outside your window, and you go, this is a whole another story. I'm not going to get into, but it's like we heard this thing, and it's like I went outside, scared. There's nothing there, but like the scream, you like move behind this shed, right? It's weird. So it's like this many people seeing this many things throughout history. There's either some level of entity or things that we're not really supposed to see that kind of interacts with us every now and then,
Yeah.
or it just seems like there are too many things cited and seen for all the attention seekers to be taking up that much of society. There's got to be something more to it. And then when you go back through history, like all the crazy stories that happened, like um, the Russian pass was a. I actually wrote this in the second book. Like this guy was talking, saying that he was the reason behind Mothman, and this thing with these. It's like it starts with a D. It's some pass where they found these college kids that were out hiking, and they were all experienced hikers and all, but they were found like with their tent shredded from the inside,
Oh.
and they were like, yeah, they were all like half naked, like running outside in their underwear in a blizzard. And if you're like experienced with something like that, you run outside, you're going to die, you're going to freeze. That's the only thing. But it still happened. And like, what could cause something like this? And with me, with my imagination, it's not hard to assign some supernatural creature to that. So, it's like I'm really into the possibilities that there may be other things out there, kind of like looking back through the windows that you don't see all the time that are really there. So,
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, there has to be something. Even with a lot of the I don't know, just a lot of those things like Bigfoot and what's the one? Oh, what's the one that they made a Sherlock Holmes book about? The
the
Hound of
Hound of
Baskerville.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean that I've seen some crazy video of that, and I mean there's got to be something going on, and they
yeah.
probably are like some sort of supernatural interdimensional beings because I mean they've been saying that about Bigfoot for years.
I know. It's just there's just so many things that it's like why do you have to imagine that there's all these aliens out there when there's so many weird things going on here? You know? It's like, yeah, there's a whole world of stuff going on around us, whether it's like flesh and blood or whether it appears to be occasionally or just pops back and forth. Whatever it is, some things we're not supposed to know about, some things we are, and they kind of pop in and out. And it happens, I think. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Amen, brother. I hear you. Well, that's a good answer. Nobody's answered with the the cryptozoology one yet, but it is fascinating. Have you ever gone on like a Bigfoot hunt or anything?
No, I don't like people that much. It's like, would you want to be trapped out in the woods with people that are like searching for him? And it's like you can't trust people doing that. It's like, little Wally over beside you is going to make this weird noise out of the corner of his mouth. He's going to swear it's Bigfoot, and you can't prove it or anyways. It's like
Yeah.
it's wasted this great vacation hanging out with these weirdos.
Yeah, that's true. I need more people on the show who have seen Bigfoot. If you're out there and you've seen Bigfoot, hit me up.
There you go. No, I've never seen that guy.
Someday. Well,
Someday.
okay, we're coming up on about 2 hours. Now, was there
Okay.
something you were just something on your heart you wanted to talk about? Something that's really important to you that we didn't get to?
No, it's pretty much just thanking you for having this podcast and this interaction, because it is just, it is so easy to process all this information and have all this doubt and have things wear you down when you don't need to be. You can be happy about a lot of different things and just like embrace the joyful side of life. It's like,
Amen, brother.
so
Amen.
basically, yeah, and that's why I sent you the message, man. I just wanted to thank you for doing this and for making me smile and making so many other people smile, and just to thank you for doing this. That was it.
That's awesome, man. Well, cool. Well, we got to get to our last two questions here, and then I want to add, I'm going to have you tell you where people can get your books if they're available. So first, how about any furry friends? What you got going on over there? Any Jersey Devils sleeping at your feet at night?
I do, man. I've got this black cat named Licorice that acts like a dog and actually jumped up on the counter last night and knocked the butter dish on the floor. My wife doesn't even know about yet.
Oh.
And scattered with butter all over the kitchen floor. That's a fun thing to put up, porcelain and butter. And it's like, I've got three little dogs. We started out with two, but then it's like they had puppies.
Yeah,
so
it just keeps coming.
Yeah, little combination Yorkie, Bichon, type deal. So they're little guys. They're fun, and they're upstairs. And I can't believe they've been quiet this whole time.
I gotta say, Licorice is a great name for a black cat.
Thanks. And I wanted to name her something cool like Jag or something like that. It's like, look, it just stuck, and that's what they, we got her like at this shelter, and they were like, do you want to see her? She's a pretty cool cat. They had her like off to herself, and they were like, well, she doesn't get along with other cats. It's like, okay, she's like effective or something. They're like, no, she's really cool, but she just doesn't like cats. You want to see her? It's like, okay. So they bring her out like a dog, and they like put her on the floor, and she acts like a dog. She doesn't try to run away. She's all calm and completely in tune with herself. So it's like, okay, this cat's ours. We're taking her home.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they call us the next day. They say, okay, you can come get her. Bring her home. She's walking around that same night like she's always been here.
Hey, that's a big deal, man. Usually cats take a while to get used to their place.
Exactly.
Huh?
So
and
yeah, man.
what was your dog's names again?
Okay, Bella is the mom. Bing is the father. and Jack Frost was his white. And Bing, the reason I named him Bing, you remember years ago when the search engine Bing came out?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He was like this little puppy, like searching around, searching everywhere. So it's like, he's like the little search engine Bing.
Hey, that was pretty good. It's a better name than Google. That would have just been weird.
Especially if he had big eyes or something. But yeah. So it's like we kept one of the pups. They had 7 pups, and we ended up keeping one of them. So we have Bella, Bing, and Jack.
Nice. What kind of dogs are they?
Like a combination of Yorkie and Maltese, and some Bichon thrown in. Oh yeah, one of the 7. I think that something else is going on though, because like out of the 7 puppies, okay, the parents, the mom weighs 11 pounds, the father weighs like 9 pounds. One of the puppies wound up being 25 pounds.
What?
I'm not kidding. It looks like it's completely different. And the person, we just gave the pups to like family members, and the person that took the biggest pup also took the smallest. So they've grown up together,
Mm-hmm.
and so we've been able to watch from afar as they've grown. And it's like the big one is 25 pounds, and the smallest one is like 5 pounds.
That's crazy.
These genetics, this whole genetic cube thing, and it's like yeah. So I don't know where that came from. But
classic.
Yeah.
Yep. There's something I like about a cat that acts like a dog, or just like cruises around. I think it's the best of both worlds. Hey, I know sometimes I jokingly get down on the dogs, but a cat who's unique enough to hang with the pack is pretty cool.
She chases the dogs outside. It's like she really is cool, man. We got her this condo thing, and she likes to sleep in the box.
Kitty condo. Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah. Okay. So the last I heard, you have 2 cats with the same name. Is that accurate?
It is for the internet.
Okay,
They
good.
they both have the same internet name.
Okay, that works for me.
Yeah, they're very private.
All right, yeah, quality.
All right. So what about that bod, man? You getting your juice on?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah?
yeah.
There you go. You know, I just today got a couple bags of wheatgrass and tried to juice my own wheatgrass. That's not easy, dude.
It's not easy, and it takes a lot too. It's like if you ever try to juice, like I tried to mix some um, cilantro in
Mhm.
because supposedly it helps you pull heavy metals from your body, and it takes
Sure.
a ton of that stuff to do anything. And kale overwhelms. Apples are really good to mix in with it.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get some fruit in there. You got to get some sugar.
Yeah, yeah, and
It
it's like I,
helps.
I like vitamins and everything, man. It's like I used to have back and knee problems
Uh-huh.
that were way worse. Like I like 15 years ago, 20, nah, yeah, it was about 15 years ago. Um, my back hurt so bad that it would just go out on me, and I'd like lay in the driveway for like 2 hours and grab my daughter's bike and be able to stand, and pull into the house.
Right.
Since I started doing like more of the vitamin deal, I don't have that problem anymore. My knees don't hurt anymore. My back gets a little stiff. I
Yeah.
tell my wife that it's like from doing dishes to avoid doing dishes. You know, but it gets a little stiff every now and then. But it's like put good stuff in, it helps.
Dude, I'm telling you, it really does. So I on this podcast, I've talked about the Whole30. Sam from God's Property Radio told me to do it. Worked wonders for me. I've been telling everybody to do it. I just got one of my friends to do it, and she has had just chronic abdominal pain every time she eats. Every time she eats, it's like she was scared she had Crohn's disease or irritable bowels or something. And I put her on the Whole30, told her you got to do this, and you focus on nutrient dense foods and things like that. And she was just vehemently opposed to it, just like not the type of person whatsoever who, give me my cheese or give me death type of person. Which, hey, I still claim to be that kind of person. Only through God's mercy am I able to keep that under control.
Right.
But about 20 days into the Whole30, all of her abdominal pain goes away. No, she hasn't had any gut problems or whatever she was dealing with, and she's basically cured just from not eating junk.
Yeah, it's completely real. It really is. All the preservatives that are in it.
Yeah.
I don't want to like go on, keep pulling you off, but there was this documentary I saw about wheat and the Roundup basically that they spray
Yeah,
on.
glyphosate, dog.
Exactly, yeah, man. And it's like it just kills your intestines. And it's
Stay
like so many,
away.
yeah. It's like, and it's like the people that have diabetes, if you can take as many meat products and dairy products out of your diet, um, it really is very helpful with that. And it's like everything that I've seen, like I started doing vitamins a while ago and I started getting better. So it's like if other people want to do it, then great. I'll support that. But I found that talking vitamins and nutrition with people is the same thing as about like talking religion. It's like they're gonna shut you down all the time until, you know, like at this little family thing, there, like my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, the one that was in seminary school, they asked me, they were talking about their personal problems and they're falling apart. And they looked at me at the same time. They were like, "You used to be bad, but you're good now. What happened?" It's like vitamins and eating right.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Okay." And even people being able to see it, they still won't do it. So you're lucky to find somebody that's actually willing to take a chance on making themselves feel better.
Dude, it is worth it, man. Like you just got to do it. It's life-changing.
Yes, sir. I completely agree.
All right. Well, buddy, this has been fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on. And
So,
the
do you have your books for sale?
yeah. The best way to do it. I used to have a website. I got bored with it, shut it down. So I do everything through Amazon now. If you go into Amazon.com and type in Gary S. Pritchett, you have to put the S in there. Like both my books and this, like an 8,000 word short story pops up. That's actually about like a little Fisher King deal, and it's pretty cool.
Okay,
So
good. Everybody go check it out. Sounds pretty compelling. Gonna have to take a look at it.
it's ebooks as well as paperbacks and all. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
like it's just everybody just explore your own creativity, man. Something like that might happen to you too.
There you go. There you go. You could be the next famous conspiracy theory novelist.
That's right.
Well, Gary, thanks so much, man. This has been an awesome conversation. I think everybody's going to enjoy it. I know I did, and we really hit some of the deep topics there.
Yeah, and time flew too, man. I'm actually working on like 3.5, not even 4 hours of sleep. It's like I've been going since 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's like so and now I'm wide awake, man. So
There you go. That's what it does. That's what it does when you get into the good stuff, man.
got it. And thanks for everything you do. I really appreciate it, man. You've helped so many people you wouldn't believe it.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, buddy. And now you're a part of it. There you go. You're co-producer. Just keep an ie out for the check in the mail.
You got it. Thank you, sir.
All right, buddy. You have a good night.
You too, man. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it, folks. Hope you enjoyed that, because I sure did. Gary S. Pritchett on Amazon. Go check out what he's got. He's got ebooks. You know, those ebooks are pretty affordable. So go check it out. I'm sure it's great. And just an author by accident or on purpose. I don't know. It's good stuff, though. I recommend everybody go check it out. So there you go. Thank you for everybody who supports on Patreon. I just cannot express how thankful I am to you and everybody out there. If you are thinking of a way that you can bless myself and bless this show and keep it on the air for as long as possible, you can go to patreon.com/thejoyspiracy and participate in what we got going over there. It's good stuff. Make sure to like our Facebook page at facebook.com/thejoyspiracy. And if you're on iTunes or any other podcast player, make sure to give us a rating and a review. A rating is 1 to 5 stars. 1 star is like when you open up a refreshing can of Pepsi Max. Do they even still make that anymore? Anyways, yeah, 1 star is you try to open up a can of Pepsi Max and it's what is this? Oh, it's Coca-Cola. I don't know. I don't even want to get in that debate. But you were wanting Pepsi Max and it's not there. Anyways, 5 stars is you open up a Pepsi Max and it's your delicious favorite beverage. Why am I buzz marketing Pepsi Max? I think it's just the most ridiculous thing. Okay, anyways, and a review is just putting all of that into words, saying, I opened up this can of Joyspiracy Theory and it was exactly what I was looking for. Refreshing. Okay. Everybody, you can go to Facebook and join the Joyspiracy Theory prayer group, or you can go to thejoyspiracytheory.com and join there's a little prayer button, and you can also email tjtprayer@gmail.com. Make sure to leave me a voice message. You can write a song, leave a message, spread the word of something you got going on, or, you know, preferably don't advertise for free with it. But there you go. Go to thejoyspiracytheory.com and use the little tab on the right-hand side. All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening, and make sure to tune in next time, because that's when the real good stuff starts. I mean, it's all pretty good, but...